industry could expect more layoffs for another 3 to 6 months. Although the hiring pace may not return to previous highs anytime soon, experts say a more thoughtful approach to hiring could ensure a more stable market.
Focus tonight, big tech companies are in big trouble. Nearly 130,000 people have been sacked this year worldwide. Why is this happening and what does the future hold?
Turmoil within the tech sector, the layoffs continue. And now Amazon has announced plans to cut staff. How many employees is it planning to let go of? Around 10,000 people.
Global economy turbulence has hit technology companies this year, leading to slowing revenue growth and widespread layoffs, even as some segments of enterprise spending on IT seems to be holding steady. What is layoff? A layoff simply refers to the termination of an employee of a company. It occurs due to business-related reasons and not because of the employee's fault. A company may lay off a single employee or multiple employees at the same time. Understanding layoffs? Layoffs typically affect groups of workers from several to thousands as a result of an employer's effort to cut costs. That effort may be prompted by an economic downturn or a corporate restructurings such as a bankruptcy or a leverage buyout by a private equity firm. Layoffs are understandably unpopular with the workers, whether employers call them downsizing, right-sizing, or smart-sizing. Layoffs may also termed as a workforce reduction or a reduction in a force. The reason for the layoffs varies from cost-cutting to bad performance to financial difficulties. Some of the companies even faced criticism for their sudden decision. Many people lost their jobs during the pandemic, and now these strings of similar layoffs are creating a ruckus in the world. The economic situation of the world is also a big reason for these layoffs. According to the report, over 8,000 people alone in just the first half of 2022 have been laid off by their companies. We will talk about those companies who have laid off their employees and their reason for doing that. Furthermore, we also talk about the companies that have the possibility to follow the path of laying their employees. So, without any further delay, let's get started. HP, the American multinational IT company, HP has joined the list of top tech companies laying off its employees. HP will lay off 4,000 to 6,000 employees, which is around 10% of its current global workforce of 60,000 over the next 3 years as part of its cost-cutting efforts. The company will also reduce its real estate footprint along with the layoffs. HP's future-ready transformation plan is expected to save the company as much as $1.4 billion annually by the end of 2025. It expects the restructuring and other activities to cost around $1 billion. The next, Zomato. India's prominent food delivery startup, Zomato is reportedly planning to lay off its employees on account of its cost-cutting efforts to become profitable. Zomato is going to lay off about 3 to 4% of its workforce, which is currently consists of nearly 3,800 employees. Around 100 Zomato employees have already been affected in the product, technology, catalog, and marketing areas. Zomato has called it a regular performance-based churn. Earlier, Zomato laid off around 520 employees, 30% of its workforce in May 2020, as a result of the business downturn caused by the pandemic. Amazon. Amazon has also joined the bandwagon of layoffs and is reportedly laying off 10,000 employees in corporate and technology jobs. The company's layoffs will be focused on its device business, including its Alexa products and its retail and human resource diversions. The layoffs represent less than 1% of Amazon's global workforce of more than 1.5 billion. It is the biggest job cut that Amazon has ever made in the history. Meta. On November 9, 2022, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, announced that it is laying off more than 11,000 employees, according for nearly 30% of its workforce. It is one of the biggest tech layoffs of 2022. According to Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, the reasons behind the company's mass layoffs include the macroeconomic downturn and increased competition and diminished ad revenues, which has caused Meta's revenue to be lower than what he had expected. Twitter is an American communication company founded by Jack Dorsey, Bistone, Evan Williams, Nova Glass on March 21, 2006. Currently headquartered in San Francisco, California, and United States. Twitter is one of the biggest social media platforms that has been all over the news in relation to one of the biggest accusations in modern times, led by billionaire techie Elon Musk. Twitter laid off 30% of its staff, nearly 100 employees from the recruiting team in July 2022. Twitter laid off about 3,700 employees, accounting for nearly 50% of a global workforce, including 90% of employees in India, as a way to cut costs following the company's accusation by Musk, which is closed on October 27. An academy, one of the biggest education tech company in India, shocked everyone this year when they decided to lay off around 600 employees. It was a sudden decision in the month of April. The reason for the layoff was said to be that performance of the employees were not good enough. After that, the EdTech giant laid off 150 employees in June 2022. On November 7, our academy conducted another round to layoffs and lay off around 350 employees, according for nearly 10% of workforce of 3,500 as the company tries to cut its expenses and generate a profit. Microsoft Corporation or Microsoft was founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen on April 4, 1975. It is an American multinational technology corporation that is unarguably one of the biggest tech companies in the world today. However, after the company announced that it would be layoffing as part of realignment, Microsoft also joined the list of big companies laying off their employees. Besides, it is also important to note that Microsoft became the first tech giant to lay off employees. Byju's in October 2022, the biggest education tech in India, took a drastic decision and announced that it will lay off 2,500 employees or 5% of its workforce. The unicorn, even after reaching a valuation of around $22 billion, decided to sack its employees. The CEO blamed macroeconomic condition and the startup's plans to achieve profitability by the end of this current financial year as a reason behind mass layoffs. Walmart, the popular American retail multinational corporation, disclosed that it would be cutting the job roles of hundreds of corporate employees in its Bentonville, Arkansas and headquarters, Walmart reported on August 3, 2022. The last, Google was an exception among the big tech companies carrying out mass layoffs in the economic down. But all that could be said to change. According to the report, the information, Google has come up with a new ranking metrics to identify low performing employees and ease them out of the company. Google managers have been asked to identify 6% of employees or roughly 10,000 employees as lower performance in terms of the impact for the business and knowledge of the matter told the information. And also, Misho, Tesla, Robinhood, Coinbase, Blinkit, Vedant, Trill, Flulenco, Unilever, Lido Learning, Nest, Tesco, or big companies and organizations are facing a problem, and many of them are laying off their employees in response to that. There are multiple reasons varying from company to company. Some of the company reasons for the layoff are there. Companies are not able to adapt to the situation after the lockdown and pandemic. The job cuts have been significantly driven by hiring lockdowns and spread during the pandemic. Although reasons are company specific in nature, one cannot ignore the adverse effect of the pandemic driven hiring frenzy that was aimed at adapting the new normal. With the coronavirus subsiding over the years, companies were left with too many workers, paving way for mass layoffs in the sector. Inflation is one of the rise again. Currently, the global economy in its steps down since the aftermath of the pandemic crisis. The world's three largest economy, US, China, Europe, have been slowing down piercingly. According to comprehensive study by the World Bank, as central banks across the world simultaneously hike interest rates in a response to inflation. The work may be edging towards a global recession in 2023. Global growth is slowing sharply, with a further slowing likely as more countries following into recession. My deep concern is that these trends will be persist with long-lasting consequences that are devastating for people in emerging market and developing economy companies facing a financial difficulties because a company decides to cut back on costs in some way. They need can arise from the fact that the company is not making enough profits to cover its expense or because it needs substantial extra cash to address paying off debt. When a company decides to lay off employees, it should be conduct the process in the right way. Otherwise, it will be like to fall more financial problems arising from lawsuit causes or severance packages. The slowdown of funding in the business world, on the other hand, many startups are struggling to sustain themselves in an uncertain environment with a cash crunch and deficit in investments. More than 14 Indian startups had shut down their businesses, unable to get their business going due to lack of funds. The year 2022 has not been a smooth sailing for Indian startups, and funding winter is hitting them very hard. Many investors are either pulling out or asking the firms to cut down or cost us by any means. The Ukraine invasion by Russia has led many companies to stop doing business with the latter. After years of rapid expansion, bubbled by an exponential rise in demand post-COVID, a hiring spree was seen among all major global tech firms and startups. But as the dust settles down, experts say tech companies are coming off a period outsized growth and we are sizing a self-correction in the market with macroeconomic factors such as Ukraine-Russia conflict combined with the air of upcoming slowdown, prompting consumer demands. The inefficiency of employees layoffs also occur when a company needs to eliminate some positions due to overstaffing, outsourcing, or modification to the roles. A company may want to eliminate redundant position in order to make its operation more efficient. If one factors in aspects like a new management and a shift in the company direction where jobs are refined, layoffs may have a considerable impact on the entire company or just a few departments. Expanding some sectors like IT and shrinking others like marketing means that some employees will lose their jobs in such a way the company is able to accommodate the evolving needs of the growing sectors of the company. Restructure and modernization. Restructure and modernization of a company. Moreover, the trend of high-level automation in workplace also gained momentum significantly. Here, it need to be noted that the concept of automation is not merely restricted the substitution of human labor with machine labor. Rather, as its core, automation is about implementing a system to complete repetitive and mundane tasks with the need of human labor. Such technical makeovers are indeed one of the major driving force behind the massive job reduction in the sector. With the economy of the world facing jeopardy and several other reasons, a number of companies have frozen their hiring and they are Meta has frozen hiring and said to be lasting through the first quarter of 2023. The main reasons the company has given are the industry-wide downturn and the privacy data changes. In May 2022, Wayfair froze their hiring for 90 days, and again the reason is situation with the economy of the world. Twitter freezes their hiring, and many of its top employees are getting fired. The sole reason is the ownership change of the company as it now belongs to Elon Musk. Google is another company that has slowed down its hiring, though it has not frozen its recruitment yet, as mentioned by Google CEO Sundar Pichai in the first week of July 2022. What should you do when you get laid off? The first step after a layoff is to be carefully review contract of employment as well as any severance package your former employer may offer. This may include provision on severance payments, employee benefits, and healthcare insurance. Employers may attach conditions to severance agreements, such as requiring you not to claim unemployment insurance. It may be a good idea to negotiate a severance agreement and have an attorney review any paperwork before you sign. Worst month for tech layoffs in an already terrible year, and barring a miracle, the fourth quarter will be the worst since the pandemic of the year to date. Some 121,413 people at 789 different tech companies have lost their jobs, and the numbers are about to take another big jump. Along with the labor hoarding, there has been a lot of talking about quiet quitting. Some firms may be betting that they will all be able to avoid a layoffs through return to office mandates, and some recent data indicates offers of remote work going down. employees who don't want to come back will end up leaving the organization. Elon Musk demonstrated this CEO mentality earlier this year when he said workers should come back minimum 40 hours a week or quit. On the brighter side, there are still companies that are actively hiring even now. The situation can still get better in the coming quarters. These macroeconomic factors are not something one can control. Instead, it is ideal for us to strengthen ourselves by monitoring the things in our control and doing our best to keep going forward and staying strong. Thank you. See you on next episode.